alternate universe. Alright. So, Sunfire's alternate universe, he is a Flamewing, as you can obviously tell by his bio.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new continent that used to be called Valhalla that I changed to Firestorm Island, because, Valhalla is fucking cringe. So, there were three main tribes on that said continent. There were Flamewings, Bloodwings, and Hivewings. Well, not Hivewings. Flamewings, Bloodwings, and Hellwings. There, that's... Um, So, Sunfire is Flamewing royalty, but is also part Bloodwing. So, if you couldn't tell already, this guy's fucking busted. Fire manipulation and blood manipulation. It's kind of it's kind of scary.
So he's a firebender and a waterbender, y'all. We're all fucked.
He's a bloodbender and a firebender.
He's a bloodbender and a firebender, y'all. We are fucked.
Yeah, so he, at a very young age, he was, I wouldn't say, like, neglected, but, like, he was taught to, like, do things on his own. Oh, hello, Luna.
Oh, hello.
Who is it? Yeah.
It's Luna!
That was unexpected.
Continue.
Luna, we are in Clearsight 25. You should join us.
Yeah. Anyways. So, at the age of 6, he managed to sign up for Jade Mountain Academy. My mic is cutting out like fucking crazy. Yeah. At the age of 6, he managed to sign up for Jade Mountain Academy. So, that's where he ended up meeting a bunch of other people at first glance. I've actually been writing a story. So, the first character he ended up meeting, well, one of them, is this one right here, Frostbone. And another one, which...
Where are you sending this?
Wait, what?
Oh, you're doing this in... Got it.
Yeah, and then here's the second one, Starseeker. He met this Frostwing and Starwing at Jade Mountain, and they became friends after a while. Although, there was one specific dragon that he ended up having a crush over for a while.
Uh-oh.
Yes, and Moon, you should already know her quite well. The Rainwing named Lemur. Oh god, I'm gonna have fun explaining this one. So, Sunfire fell in love with a Rainwing named Lemur. But I have no idea how to explain this any further, so let me just wing it. Of course, he was there for around 23 days before tragedy struck. Him and Lemur were hanging out, like, after school hours, going to a unexplored area of Jade Mountain, which, keep in mind, this takes place 2,000 years after the occurrences of the Dragonets of Destiny. So, yeah, the old sections of Jade Mountain that were abandoned, which is supposedly haunted, which they are. They are haunted. So,
sorry, everyone who's watching stream, that might have been really loud.
Oh. Alright. So he is a... How do I put this? They ended up accidentally waking up those said ghosts that were sleeping there, and they found their way back to the main area of Jade Mountain, where they, for some reason, can interact with the living and kill them. Which is what happened to Lemur. This triggered Sunfire into a state of rage, like the Super Saiyan, in a way. I have a lot of freaking things that I've inspired by anime when it comes to this. But, yeah. Anyways, he ended up unlocking his fire manipulation for the first time. And I originally made it so then he was capable of interacting with the dead for this said reason, but I'm just gonna put it where he has... I'm just gonna put it where he has hints of potential when it comes to necromancy. Oh. So he can interact with the dead.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so he pummels that freaking ghost that killed Lemur. Before leaving Jade Mountain. A couple of years go by, I'd say around 4. He is now the age of 10. Over the past 4 years, he returned to, he returned to Firestorm Island and started helping out anywhere he could to try and, well, become the king himself, because he is royalty. He's main royalty. So yeah. The problem with that is they don't really like him, because during that 4-year time period, he ended up getting hunted down by the corrupt Flamewing King that was already in place. So him and his mentor Mantis killed him because he was a rogue king. Sunfire ended up desecrating half the army in that time. Yeah, so there's this thing, this timeline that I called the Flamewing Legend, which originally had the title for his like great-great-grandfather, which is now dead, named Pyro. But I changed that, so then Sunfire is now the Flamewing. Of course, Pyro will always hold a special place in my heart, because, well, he had one of the coolest moments I ever have. Well, I could ever explain in this alternate universe that I have going on. As you can tell, I'm not really good at explaining things, especially when it comes to long stuff.
Yeah, no,
But
no worries.
Trust me, dude. I could sit here and explain all of the backstories to all the different characters in Saga, because holy shit, do all of them have insane backstories?
I would explain all of Age of Omen.
The one human on the ship got there because she was tired of being bullied, snuck into someone's house to steal something from them, and then that person caught her, and she accidentally, like, mauled the person that she'd broken into their house because they tried to kill her. And then she got banished.
Dang.
She got banished at, like, 13.
Rip.
Ouch.
Yep. Love Magpie.
But yeah, here's where Sunfire's biggest feat that he has ever gotten ends up coming into play. This is the most part of his lore that I know about, besides when he's 14, which is how old he is.
1 second. My dad's calling me.
Dang, okay. Guess I'm gonna have to keep going without Moon. So, 3 Nightwing Animuses are trying to take over Firestorm Island. What the fuck is this? Of course, you can tell that they are obviously evil. They are similar to... Oh, hi, Eek. Why is everyone joining this all of a sudden?
Chickadee cult.
Oh. Oh, God. Oh, God. One thing I can't be a part of. Anyways. Continuing forward with the lore explanation. What the fuck? Why is bro breakdancing?
Ender, that was beautiful. Ender, that was beautiful.
Why was Ender breakdancing? Wanna pull up?
RP.
Anyways.
No. Chickadee.
It's Chickadee.
I feel like a Pokemon. I'm just saying my own name. Who? Me. Chickadee. I need more chickadees right now. I say that and a chickadee comes. I called upon it. What the hell? Sit next to me. Sit next to me. Chickadee. This is the lore of the Chickadee.
The Chickadee Empire.
That would be a crazy roleplay. Fire.
It probably would.
Luna asks, is the lore on a Google Doc or all in your head?
It's all in my head. It's literally all in my head.
Everything is
I
in your
clap
head.
for you,
We're not
sir.
real.
I've drilled all this lore into my head over the course of like a year or two. So, yes. It is all in my head. And I'm trying to write it out on a Google Doc as a story, but I haven't been doing that lately.
I wrote a small bit of story for Age of Omen. If you guys want, I can read it too.
Cool.
Oh my god, creepypasta reading time.
Story
May I continue with the lore breakdown?
Yeah, I'll let you finish and then I'll read Age of Omen.
Alright. So, Sunfire ended up catching wind of these 3 Nightwing Animuses wanting to take over Firestorm Island from Mantis. So he started an arduous training arc that lasted 2 weeks before they finally showed up. And he fought them head to head and actually came out on top. He won a 3v1 against Animuses. Yep. Only because they were not using healing magic. Lucky to him. Yeah, I will tell you this right now. The picture I have going on in my head is quite literally from Demon Slayer. Tengen versus Gyotto.
Demon Slayer's so goated.
Yeah. Demon Slayer is goated, yes. Anyways. Yeah, so after that, he got the crown. He became king after that. Before moving it forward 4 years once again, which is another thing that is pivotal for the next 3,000 years of his life. Sunfire ended up getting invited to a exploration of a undiscovered island off the coast of Pantala. An island not named. So, of course, he accepted because he wanted to see what this island was about and see if there was any threats on he can neutralize. So, they show up to the island, which actually is looking pretty bad. If you couldn't tell already, there is a parasite on the island that is spreading throughout it and slowly killing the islands and its inhabitants. Oh my god, so many things are distracting. Fucking hell. Anyways, they encountered one of these monsters. I don't have a figurative name for them yet. I haven't really pondered on it too much. Of course, he was with his freaking exploration group at the time, which consisted of 9 dragons, including himself. So he ended up taking on the monster himself and got cut during the fight. Of course, he killed it pretty easily using his fire manipulation to, well, fucking burn it to smithereens. But he got cut by it, which means the parasite has now entered his body and will slowly transform him into the same thing that he just killed.
Jeez.
This is a thing that I got inspired during my freaking MHA watching time, where he quite literally becomes like Vigilante Deku in a way. So he ends up, like, they end up finding natives of the island, and that's when they figure out that Sunfire is infected with it, and he's already slowly entering his second stage of it. He's already been showing the symptoms on the way there. They're just like, "Hey, you good?" And like, he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. It's just a lot more sluggish than before." And then they found the natives, and they're just like, "Man, you're infected with the same said parasites that you fought earlier." And he's like, "Oh, god damn it. Well, looks like I'm going on an exploration to kill the main host." Which is what he did. He spent 3 weeks trying to find the main host, nearly entering the 4th stage, the final stage that transforms him into that monster, before killing it. And was supposedly cured. Except he wasn't. Just because he then became the main host freaking of the parasites. But he didn't know that for a very long time. Yeah, so I'm gonna do like a bunch of like jumps in age. Like there's a shit ton of them as well. Because he lives for 3,000 years. And the lore for him is still going too. It's incomplete.
Whoa.
So, yeah. So, I'm just gonna jump to the age of 29, where Sunfire can feel his body eroding. he can feel himself slowly dying, and he knows he won't live past the age of 30. So he turns to Mantis, asking him if he could make an enchant that can halt his aging at a specific point. That's where this horn ring comes in, the one he's wearing now. Mm. The right cyan horn ring that he's wearing was from his father. Well, not from his father. His great-great-grandfather, Pyro. He wore the same thing that halted his age at 7 originally. But he changed the enchantment a little bit to 14, and now, yeah. So now we're gonna jump 1,000 years into the future. After he quite literally squad wiped 6 armies, because he's 1,000 years old now, he knows more ways to kill a dragon than entire armies will ever learn. So yeah, he wasn't himself. He was taken control of by something else, a exterior being, for sorts. So when he's finally snapped out of it by defeating the being inside of his mind, he regretted what he did almost immediately, because he watched it all go down. His body was under control, but not his mind. So he self-exiled himself for the next 2,000 years out of regret, which during that time he became a 10-star assassin. He was the most feared assassin in the Scorpion Den for the longest time, until he finally decided to return to Firestorm Island 2,000 years later. He is now 3,000 years old, and by this point, if he were to take off the horn ring for more than a minute, well, not more than a minute, more than 10 seconds, it's basically gambling with his life. If he takes off the horn ring, there's a 99.8% chance that he will die, and a 0.2% chance that he will truly become the main host of the parasite, therefore making him practically unkillable.
Oh.
So when he returns to Firestorm Island, he learns that something isn't right. It doesn't look the same, and it looks more run down and abandoned than it did before. So he walks into the main palace, like he just strolls in, and there's no guards. So he rushes over to the main throne room to see 3 different animuses on the throne. Not all Nightwing. There was a Sandwing, there was a Nightwing, and there was a Seawing. He was like, "Who the fuck are y'all?"
Like, get out of my house, hello?
And... Wait, what? Yeah. This is like, boy, if you don't get the fuck out of my original house, I will beat you senseless. He didn't actually say all of that. But, of course, the Nightwing Animus decided to fight him. Which, by the way, they don't have the same morals that the 3 Nightwing Animuses that Sunfire killed. They didn't have the same morals. He was willing to use healing magic if the situation required it. So, of course, they start fighting, which Sunfire damn near lost. Like, he was practically on the verge of death when he gambled with his life, since he was already going to die anyway. He took off the horn ring and became the full host of the freaking parasite, making him practically unkillable. And started beating the absolute shit out of the Nightwing Animus before they all started jumping him. Keep in mind, Mantis is also an Animus that can kill immortal beings. He's literally the definition of overpowered. So he's currently in his verse, the null verse that my brother created for him, and cannot leave until a specific enchant was written down on the ground nearby where he first entered, which during the fight Sunfire was currently trying to draw because he knew he wasn't gonna win. He got lucky the first time he encountered it. He won't get lucky a second. So eventually he ended up getting stabbed by 3 spears simultaneously by all 3 of the Animuses while finishing the enchantment on the ground. And he was just like, "You have already lost. Say goodbye." As he dropped a bit of blood on the ground. Hello.
It's Noodly, it's Noodly, it's Noodly. Noodly, join Wings of Fire Roblox right now.
No, I'm with my friends right now. We're having a graduation.
Your mother! I'm so sorry. Hello.
I'm dairy lactose intolerant.
What the fuck?
Hey, you guys want to hear something really funny that Noodly said? You guys want to hear something really funny that Noodly said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me mute my stream audio real quick.
Bye.
See, okay then. What the fuck was that?
I clipped Noodly saying a slur. It's a soundboard, gang. It's.
I know what a soundboard is. I could easily tell that was a soundboard. I've used one myself.
Yeah. It's not directed to anyone. It's not directed to be mean. Noodly is trans. Please don't think it's bad. It's not.
Interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna quickly finish up the lore thing that I've created so far.
Alright.
So Mantis finally comes out of the null, instantly being able to see all the pasts and futures for what went on for the past 2,000 years. He was in the null realm, which, by the way, felt like 2 days for him. And he was just like, what the hell happened? Sunfire's on the ground and just like, Mantis, shut the fuck up and help me out here!
Real.
And Mantis looks over and sees Nightwing, like the three Animuses just standing and just like, well, we're fucked. Before Mantis is just like, you took over our sacred land. For this, you will die. And he slowly killed all three of them with Animus magic. He slowly killed all three of them.
Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't tell who was talking either.
Yeah. I also have a fan tribe, and they're my favorite because they have interesting lore. They're called the Blade Wings. So they're very long, lanky, but sort of buff builds, and their wings are very, like, very long. Think of the Timberjacks, or Timberwings from How to Train Your Dragon.
Timberjacks, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't remember which one. But, they have blades on their tails that can be any form or shape. They have it when they're born, so it stays that way. It could be like an axe, it could be a sword, it could be katana, anything. But they're all, like, they're not, sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're not, but most of the time they're different. It also depends on genetics, so, like, if one Bladewing has an axe tail, marries another one with an axe tail, the child is most likely to have an axe tail as well. Bladewings are named usually after types of metals, types of gemstones, or blades and weapons themselves. So the tribe lore is basically like they live on a continent named Pandora. And Pandora has like a bunch of different fan tribes, but they're other people's fan tribes, so I'm not really gonna like talk about them because it's been so long since I've talked to these people. I don't know if they'd let me talk about their fan tribes. Basically, they live on this continent and they're the main rulers. Like, they're basically the main rulers of the continent. They're the most powerful, they're the most aggressive. And they used to be under one big monarchy until basically Sandwing Succession sort of war. The mother died with two twin heirs still remaining with her, and I think I think it was Wither and Amethyst. I'm not too sure. I can't remember Amethyst, but I'm gonna call her Amethyst from now. Wither and Amethyst. And they basically, instead of fighting for the throne, decided that they were going to separate the kingdom into two. So Wither would have the northern side, or no, Wither would have the southern side, sorry, and Amethyst would have the northern side, and thus created a split between the Blade Wings, having Blade Wings kind of create a subspecies of each other. The northern Blade Wings and the southern Blade Wings. Southern Blade Wings tend to have more blunt tails, and because of the heat, their colors are a bit more vibrant. Northern Blade Wings are different. They have sharper, more honed tails, thinner bodies, less bulky, more elegant looking, and they have pale colors. And there's an ongoing war between the two because they kind of want to rule the whole continent, but right now it's split, so they're kind of battling each other. And that's all I got on them.
Huh.
I haven't really done much with them.
Cool.
I'd like to have them in a roleplay at some point, but I'm not too sure. Do you guys want me to read Silly Age of Omen book now?
Sure.
There's not many chapters so far. I'm gonna check this out. Could not tell who's talking.
I'm just...
Yeah. I'm gonna pull up
I'm
the
gonna
Google
vibe to
document.
music.
Let me see. Alright. Ignore all my Google documents. They're really wild and stupid. Yeah, so it starts with a prophecy, and this is after prologue. This is after the whole of prologue in episode 1, so the characters from prologue don't really appear in this. Warning. Fair warning. So the prophecy is, when the wind chills and all moons hide, dragonets are born to change the tides. Ignore how cringy this sounds. I made this in, like, 6th, 7th grade, so ignore. A nightwing with power so great will wait for them to end their fate. Find an egg pelted with gold, a sandwing's future awaits untold. Find an egg with white so pure, an icewing is born with a cure. Find an egg small and red, the skywing awaits to end the dread. 2 eggs hidden, sea and mud, both clutched together covered in blood. The final egg, from far away, a rainwing egg is here to stay. 6 eggs of rebellion kind, hurry now for you must find. End the war before it's too late, in the shadows where an omen will wait. Or where omen will wait, sorry. Anyways. Age of Omen, Dark Omen, yeah, spooky prophecy. Alright. I'm gonna read chapter 1. Y'all seated? Y'all comfortable?
Yes.
I'm so comfy.
Comfy, perfect. Deep within the earth, I can't read that word, bro. Stalactites?
Stalactites.
You wrote it.
Stalactites. I know I wrote it, but I can't say the word. Stalactites hang like icicles from the cavern ceiling, dripping water into pools below. Shadows dance across the uneven walls, painted by flickering flames of torches. The echo of dripping water reverberates through the chamber, adding to the eerie ambience. Pale skywing talons scrape across stone, dragging in a bored manner. The hallway narrowed, and then opened into a larger room in the cave. The walls held jagged stones that arched out like stairs, leading up to a wooden platform filled with dull stone weapons. Harpy arched his head upwards towards a tall and red dragon with yellow and orange scales, surrounding their snout and wings. Darker red scales peppered around his eyes, and large yellow frills that moved from behind his ear to his jaw. Malum, the hybrid guardian of a skywing and rainwing, sneered. His head lifted up to glare at Harpy. Orange eyes stared down from his muzzle. His voice rumbled with aggravation. Should I do silly voices?
Yes.
Okay. You're late for training, and you've already gotten 2 demerits this morning. Planning on getting any more? Harpy dipped his head, wrinkling his snout and shifting slightly. He wished he could avoid the larger dragon's gaze. Sorry. Wait. Sorry. I'm sorry, I'm having too fun with this. He muttered. His voice was barely a whisper. It was all the courage he could muster. The guardian shrugged, arching his head and pointing his snout to the center of the room. It was cleared haphazardly, as if a dragon had spread their wings and shoved everything away in a flurry. Harpy shuffled towards the center of the room, understanding the exchange perfectly, as he shifted into a defensive position. Malum inspected his position, striding forward and guiding Harpy's movements with his tail. "You're getting sloppy," Malum snarled, backing away until they were just a wing's distance away. What? Until they were just a wing's distance away. Okay. Backing away. I need to fix that. Pardon. Malum arched his back and tucked his wings before he lunged towards Harpy. Harpy skittered to the side, flinging his talons sideways. His claws barely brushed Malum's scales. Malum slammed his long tail into Harpy. The dragonette went flying back and slammed into the cave wall. Harpy gripped the stone, the
Stalactite.
whatever. I can't. Stalactite. Thank you. Spike hanging from the ceiling, pulling himself up to dodge the hybrid that barreled towards him. "Come down here, coward!" he roared up at Harpy, lashing his tail. Malum's yellow frill faded to a deep red with a swirl of navy blue. "But it's keeping me safe," Harpy thought with a huff, before sharp claws dug into the soft part of his tail, yanking him down. Panic shot through Harpy as he tried to cling to loose stone, slamming into the cold cave floor. Harpy barely had time to turn onto his back before Malum slammed his talons down onto his chest. Malum let out a threatening roar. "Use your fire! Find it! Reach for it!" Harpy winced. It's supposed to be winced. As white claws dug past his scales and underneath them. "I can't." Malum frowned, his face scrunched. "You're a skywing. Make it work, you useless slug." He fumed. No matter how hard Harpy tried, he couldn't summon enough fire. A chill ran down his spine. "I can't," he repeated. Malum huffed smoke from his nostrils. A hiss garbled from the depths of his throat, light slowly illuminating the scales on his neck. Harpy knew what was going to happen. Malum had always had to charge up his fire. Harpy wriggled from under Malum, his wings slapping against the bigger dragon's face before he managed to kick up and slam Malum's jaw shut. The guardian coughed out smoke, growling dangerously, whipping his tail back and forth. Malum lifted his claw to bring it down on Harpy before a big yet plumpy mudwing paced into the cave. "Wrap it up, Malum. Dreamseer will destroy you if you kill one of the dragonettes." Bayou shifted her wings, a soft chuckle erupting from her throat. Malum looked disappointed, stepping off of Harpy, letting him breathe. "I doubt Dreamseer would care. They're all mistakes. No destiny in these dragonettes." Smoke puffed from his nostrils. Harpy had to draw back a snarl. Unlike the false dragonette prophecy years ago, this one was real, and apparently, to all of the guardians, each and every one of the dragonettes had failed since hatching. Bayou tilted her head, opening her wing slightly to usher Harpy out of the training cave. "Go on, Harpy. Go study with the others." Harpy knew better than to disobey Bayou. The Mudwing was honestly way scarier than Malum. Plus, he really wanted training to be over. Stalking out of the cave, his pale scales seemed to dull in the light glow of the torches. And then there's chapter 2, but I'm going to take a second to breathe. Interesting so far?
I guess.
Yeah, it is.
Alright, I'm going to read chapter 2. You're going to meet all of the dragonettes. Yay! So basically, it's a dragonette prophecy, but it's supposed to be real, but it's also a failed dragonette prophecy, I say with quotation marks, because the dragonettes aren't what we're thought to be, so it's basically just the first books, but different characters and different plotline, somewhat, so... Interesting, yes. Alright, chapter 2. The study cave was a far-reaching tunnel in the cave wall. A few racks of scrolls melted to the walls with dragon's fire. Scrolls varied in size and color, yet there weren't that many. Harpy ducked, trying to tuck his wings as he silently entered. 4 dragonettes occupied the room, the 4 dragonettes he had grown up with. A lean, pearly-white Icewing dragonette was flopped over onto their back, toying with a scroll in their hands. Rhyme. The favorite of the guardians, mostly because they weren't different. A normal Icewing. Sitting in a patch of moss, reading the farthest from the group, was a red and white webbed dragonette, their Seawing, Koromo. To the left of Koromo was the smallest, an umber-colored dragon with blotches of black scales on their body, and light white speckles underneath on the underside of her wings. Palatine was supposed to be, well, the Mudwing, but her appearance took on both Nightwing and Mudwing. She was reading next to the last dragonette, her wing wrapped around her. Ringlet. Ringlet was supposed to be their Rainwing, but Malum suggested they were nothing but an animus abomination, to the dismay of the lot of them. Ringlet had mint green scales with darker green fades and stripes. Ringlet didn't have frills. Instead, she had long, wispy-looking things on her head. Not to mention she lacked wings. In their place were bulbs. Ringlet seemed to look up as Harpy walked into the cave, waving happily. Harpy cheered up upon looking at them all. He was glad he wasn't the only misfit in their group. In fact, he felt bad for Rhyme and Koromo for being the only pure ones, as Malum called it. Harpy slumped down next to Ringlet, easily the friendliest of the 3. She tilted her head to Harpy, scrunching their snout. I see Malum put you through one of his harsh trainings again. Boy, I'm not excited for my turn. Ringlet chuckled sweetly, gently tearing a bit of parchment off of the scroll that sat in her talons. Harpy nodded, narrowing his eyes. I don't know if you'll have training this morning. Bayou needed to talk to Malum about something serious, he said. Praise the moons for that, Ringlet responded, her tail flicking back and forth. Harpy looked around. The silence made for a sort of unease. What subject do we have next? I should study before I get clobbered with Bayou's tail. Rhyme pricked her ears, tilting her head towards him. I think we have geography next. Palatine? The smaller dragon lifted her head, suddenly confused by her name being called. Oh, yeah, geography. She twirled her talon around, mapping a circle with a flick of her wrist. I think we have a test on the 6 kingdoms. The rest of them all groaned. The anticipation of the upcoming test made Harpy a bit frustrated. They had known almost everything about the kingdoms. More tests just made him all the more agitated. Harpy's mind raced, trying to recall the important details of the 6 kingdoms that he had studied diligently, but his thoughts kept drifting back to the recent training session with Malum. The memory of the grueling fight made his muscles ache anew. Not just the fighting, but the horrible things Malum would often say. As the dragonettes began to review their notes, Koromo, with his webbed talons, pulled out a map of Pyria from off of a rack. Maybe we can start by reviewing the location of each kingdom, he suggested, unfurling the map with care. Rhyme nodded in agreement. Frost puffed from her nostrils. Glittering fragments of ice melted almost instantly. Yes, and we should also go over the unique features and rulers of each kingdom. It might help us remember better. Palatine leaned in closer, her eyes scanning the map intently. I can help with that, she offered, her voice a soft blend of understanding. There's Queen Shard of the Icewings, Queen Skyline of the Skywings, Queen Solaria of the Sandwings, Queen Bloom of the Rainwings, Queen Azure of the Seawings, and Queen Willow of the Mudwings. Harpy fumbled his talons. Right, the 6th queen, plus Dark Omen. The name seemed to cause a gross feeling to crawl under his scales. Dark Omen, the name of the monster that they were going to have to defeat. Bayou had talked a bit about him, but there was an unspoken agreement not to talk about him around the dragonettes. Koromo rolled his eyes, placing the map on the ground. We hear so little about him. How are we supposed to know how to defeat him? If he could be practically anyone. Rhyme shifted closer to Koromo, laughing mischievously. I bet he's really ugly. Maybe he looks like a squashed toad. She stuck her tongue out and raised her talon. Look at me. I'm an evil sleazebag. Dark omen. Ooh. The rainwing beside Harpy laughed, slamming her tail on the stone floor. Ew. Rhyme, we're supposed to be scared of this guy. I'd be scared of that, Palatine had muttered under her breath. Koromo sat on his haunches, huffing in annoyance. Guys, we're supposed to be studying. That's like the whole reason we're in this room. Harpy shuddered. Yeah, I'd rather not think about the guy we're supposed to fight. His thoughts seemed to dissipate as a loud sound radiated from the main hall, the familiar scrape of a boulder on stone floor. Palatine covered her snout. Oh, moons. Dreamseer's here. Haha, that's funny. There's still like 3 more chapters. Again, I'm taking a second. Any questions? Anything to add?
No, none in the slightest, though you are amazing at reading. And making things, to be honest.
Thank you.
I would, if
No
you
problem.
made a video instead, I would eat so hard to it.
Pardon?
Huh? What did you even say?
If I made a video of just me reading Age of Omen? Yes. I'm probably gonna continue reading, but I want to take a minute to talk to fans.
Ah, yes, the fans gathering around.
Nice to meet you. Aww. Alright, let me continue my dramatic Wings of Fire reading.
Time to mute once
Alright.
again.
Alright, thank you. Chapter 3. Dreamseer was a large nightwing, with dark blue to purple scales, a white underbelly, and a single teardrop scale near her yellow eyes. She was the supposed prophet and pretty much the boss of this whole mess. She was the worst of the 2 guardians. She never tried to hide her disdain for the dragonettes, and always seemed to have a sneer on her face. She hated the dragonettes, but Ringlet took the blunt of it. Mutant worm and abomination were Dreamseer's favorite words to describe the minty-colored rainwing. Harpy stood next to the other 4, his eyes locked onto the Nightwing with a glower, to which she glared in kind. Malum and Bayou soon trotted into the entrance, Malum's tail swatting at Harpy, forcing him to stagger back a few paces. The 2 guardians stood next to Dreamseer, practically sucking up to her. The room was filled with a cold and dead silence, broken only by the low rumble in Dreamseer's voice. I'm not impressed. Bayou pinched the bridge of her snout with a deep sigh. We did as told, and there what the prophecy had asked of us. We never failed. We never failed. That term, sorry, one second. Yep. Alright, I'm gonna read a little bit and then I gotta go eat, so I'm gonna finish this chapter. We never failed. That term meant that it was the dragonette's fault somehow. Dreamseer squealed in outrage. Her snout crinkled. The prophecy never asked for a mutant, nor a fireless worm, and a dead sandwing. The others are fine. Palatine may be odd, but at least she's smart. Harpy let out a soft growl slipped from his throat. He could see Ringlet's ears fold back. He wished Dreamseer could shut her ugly muzzle before she hurt any more of his friends. Bayou's eyes glanced to the line of dragonettes. Her gaze somehow felt deeply embedded into Harpy's scales. Rhyme huffed, her lips curled into a snarl. Harpy and Ringlet are perfectly fine. Harpy is crazy agile, and Ringlet is more caring than you old farts. Malum returned her smile. Bite your tongue, you ungrateful brat. The dim torchlight bounced from the wall surfaces, reflecting Dreamseer's disappointment. I think it's time the three of us discuss what to do moving forward, she hissed at the Guardians, gesturing to the Guardian's cave. A bigger opening that was smaller, and more importantly, more hidden. As soon as the Guardians had left, Harpy snuck close, keeping to the spots that weren't illuminated by torchlight, perking his ears. Soft, muffled voices grumbled past the stone walls. The words jumbled, and were hard to follow. His hearing was quite poor, after all. What are they saying? Rhyme shuffled next to him, her ear pricked upward and trying to listen in. Harpy shifted. His gaze drew towards the entrance. I can't hear, he muttered. Koromo sighed. Maybe we should just go to bed and leave them be. Rhyme responded with a scoff. Screw that. I'm interested. Harpy's tail flicked in agitation. His eyes narrowed on the dark entrance to the Guardian's cave. His curiosity gnawed at him like an insatiable itch. Rhyme was right. It wasn't just about hearing what the Guardians had planned. It was all about survival. Dreamseer's growing disdain was becoming more dangerous by the day, and Harpy wasn't about to sit idly while they decided their fate. Fine, but if we're going to do this, we're going to do this smart, Harpy whispered, lowering his voice so only the dragonettes could hear. Alright, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go eat now. You guys have a good day.
Alright then, Venus. See ya.
Goodbye!